Fact-checking analysis and plan. Here's how I'll address the flagged claims based on the search results. 1 berberine and HbA1c 12% in 116-person study, finding the search results do support this claim. A study on 116 people with diabetes showed that 1 gram of berberine per day for 3 months reduced HbA1c by 12%. Another recent study on prediabetics found a 15% decrease in HbA1c. Action! The original claim is supported. I will keep it, but ensure it's cited correctly to the specific study. I'll rephrase for natural flow. For example, ... a landmark study in 116 people with type 2 diabetes found that dropped HbA1c by a whopping 12% to red yeast rice, 45% heart attack, 33% mortality. Finding: this is strongly supported. Multiple sources confirm the results of the China Coronary Secondary Prevention Study (CCS) partially purified extract called Zhuqiang XZ. This study on nearly 5,000 heart attack survivors found XZK reduced the risk of repeat heart attacks by 45% and total mortality by 33%. Action. The original claim is accurate. I'll rephrase it to be more conversational, but keep the powerful statistics, citing the study. I might add the detail that it was a specific extract Zhuqiang to be more precise, as the results caution that not all over-the-counter supplements are the same. Finding: this is a well-cited claim from a specific 1998 study in Planta Medica. Co-administering 20 milligrams of piperine with 2 grams of curcumin increased bioavailability by 2,000% in humans. Four, aged garlic extract, 5 to 10 point BP reduction. Instead of a flat 5 to 10 points, I'll say something like, the effect can be significant, with some studies showing an average reduction of around 11 points in systolic pressure, while others show more modest but still meaningful drops. As any cardiologist will tell you, even a sustained 5-point drop can significantly lower long-term risk. ... Double quotes, this is more accurate in human. 5. Monocolin K chemically identical to lovastatin. Finding: this is repeatedly confirmed in the scientific literature and by various health but ResearchGate diagrams show the identical structures. Action. The claim is accurate. I'll keep it as is. It's a key point for the red yeast rice section. 6. Curcumin compared favorably to prescription anti-inflammatory drugs. Finding: this is supported. Head-to-head studies have been conducted. One study found curcumin offered comparable pain relief to ibuprofen for knee osteoarthritis, but with fewer GI side effects. Another review mentions its potential as an alternative to NSAIDs due to its different mechanism of action and better safety profile. Action: I will strengthen this claim slightly by mentioning a specific drug comparison, like ibuprofen, to make it more concrete and credible, citing the studies. 7. Curcumin bioavailability is terrible. Finding: the search results confirm this. They state curcumin has poor bioavailability due to rapid metabolism and that this is a limitation requiring formulation solutions like nanoparticles or adjuvants like piperine. Action: terrible is a conversational and accurate way to describe poor bioavailability for a lay audience. I will keep this phrasing as it fits the humanized style. 8. Citrinin contamination in red yeast rice. Finding: this is a well-documented and serious concern. The NCCIH mentions it directly. Product surveys have found citrinin, a potential kidney toxin, in a significant number of supplements, sometimes even in those labeled citrinin-free. Action: the original script's warning is valid and important. Rewriting and humanization strategy, with the facts confirmed. I will now rewrite the script following the humanization instructions. Language, integrate contractions, don't. Swap formal words for simpler ones. For example, bioactive compound becomes the stuff inside that does the work. Sentence variety, breaky upload dense paragraphs into shorter, more digestible chunks. Use punchy one-liners for emphasis. Hemoviclisha scan for and remove phrases like let's talk about. Here's the fascinating part, nothing short of staggering. It is important to note that replace them with more direct statements. Personality, tone, inject more of the specified witty, inspirational, casual tone. Use analogies the audience can relate to, for example, NFKB as a fire alarm. Formatting, ensure clean sections with titles and no extra references. I will now proceed with rewriting the entire script from top to bottom. Natural supplements that stunned my doctor. My doctor stared at his computer screen, his brow all furrowed up. He clicked the mouse a couple of times, leaned in close like the pixels were personally offending him, then swiveled back in his chair. He looked me dead in the eye and said just 4 words. What did you do? It wasn't an accusation. It was pure, unfiltered shock. Because the numbers on that screen, they weren't just a little better. They were a complete 180. A total flip from the guy who'd even sitting in this exact chair 6 months ago. 6 months ago. The vibe in this room was grim. My lab results looked like a Christmas tree of red warning lights. My LDL cholesterol, the bad one, wasn't just high. It was blasting off into the stratosphere. My fasting glucose and my hemoglobin A1C were screaming prediabetes, and my C-reactive protein, a marker for inflammation, was stuck on high. The talk we had was blunt. My doc, a guy I really trust, laid out the game plan. Statins for the cholesterol. Metformin for the blood sugar, probably sooner rather than later. He was using phrases like lifelong medication and managing chronic conditions. I walked out of there with a heavy heart and a bunch of prescriptions I hadn't filled yet. I was staring down a future where my health was managed by a pharmacy, not by me. It felt like a biological prison sentence. I just couldn't accept that. I knew I couldn't ignore the numbers, but I also had this nagging feeling there had to be another way. A way to work with my body. Not just pump drugs into it to mask the symptoms. So I did what I do best. I hit the books hard. I dove into clinical trials, meta-analyses, and scientific journals for weeks. Hunting for real evidence. Not stories, not fads, but hard, peer-reviewed data. And that research is what led me back here to this moment with my doctor shaking his head in disbelief. A moment that felt like a huge win. Today, I'm sharing the 4 natural supplements that didn't just nudge my numbers in the right direction, they spun the dial all the way around. These are the 4 supplements that stunned my doctor. But first, we got to get something really important out of the way. This is my story, and it's backed by the research I'm about to share. But I am not a doctor, and this is not medical advice. The supplement world is a minefield. Quality and dosage are all over the place, and these compounds can have powerful effects and interact with medications. It is absolutely critical that you talk to your own doctor before you start anything new. This is about giving you the power to have a smarter conversation with your healthcare provider. It's about being a partner in your own health, not a lone wolf. Berberine, the metabolic master switch. The first heavy hitter on my list is a compound people are calling nature's metformin, and it has absolutely earned that nickname. Let's talk about berberine. My biggest worry right after that insane cholesterol number was my blood sugar. My fasting glucose was stuck in the pre-diabetic warning zone, and my HbA1c confirmed it. My doctor had the metformin talk with me, explaining why it was the standard treatment, but starting a diabetes drug when I wasn't even technically diabetic. It felt like crossing a line I could never So, my research started here, and it led me straight to berberine. Berberine is a natural compound, an alkaloid pulled from a bunch of different plants, like barberry and Oregon grape. It's been used in traditional Chinese and Ayurvedic medicine for ages, but now modern science is showing us how it works. And it's amazing. Berberine's main gig is to activate an enzyme in our cells called AMPC. Think of MPK as your body's metabolic master switch. When your body senses it's low on energy, AMPK flips on and tells your body to get way more efficient with its fuel. It starts pulling more glucose out of your blood and into your cells, exactly what you need when blood sugar is high. It also makes your body more sensitive to insulin, so the insulin you're already making works way better. The research here is just wild. Multiple studies show that berberine can lower blood sugar just as well as the drug metformin. One meta-analysis of over 40 trials found berberine significantly reduced fasting blood glucose, post-meal glucose, and HbA1c. And get this, a landmark study in 116 Paopli with type 2 diabetes found that taking berberine for 3 months dropped their fasting blood sugar by 20% and, more importantly, lowered their HbA1c, the long-term marker, by a whopping 12%. That's not a small tweak. That's a pharmaceutical-level effect from a plant. But berberine isn't a one-trick pony. It also directly helps with cholesterol. Research shows it lowers that bad LDL cholesterol and triglycerides. It does this partly by telling the liver to make more receptors that grab LDL out of the blood, helping your body clear it out faster. Armed with all this data, I started taking a quality-tested berberine supplement. I went with a standard dose of 500 milligrams 2 or 3 times a day with food, which helps with absorption and avoids any stomach upset. And the change wasn't just on paper. I felt more stable energy all day without those classic afternoon crashes. When I went back for my checkup, my fasting glucose wasn't just better. It was optimal. My HbA1c was completely out of the pre-diabetic zone. This one supplement took care of my biggest metabolic red flag, red yeast rice, the statin controversy. Next up is a supplement that tackled my single biggest problem, that scary high LDL cholesterol. Now, this is the one that you absolutely need to understand deeply and discuss with your doctor, because it's both incredibly effective and super controversial. We're talking about red yeast rice. My LDL number was the headline on my lab report. It's what made my doctor immediately say statin. He told me about drugs like atorvastatin and lovastatin and their proven track record for cutting heart attack and stroke risk. He also warned me about the side effects that had me worried: muscle pain, brain fog, and potential liver issues. It felt like a tough trade-off, and I wasn't ready to make it without exploring every other option. My research into natural cholesterol busters quickly led me to red yeast rice. So, what is it? It's just rice that's been fermented with a yeast called Monoscus. It's been used in Chinese medicine and cooking forever. The magic hand, the controversy comes from a compound it creates during fermentation called monocolin K. A natural compound in fermented rice is the exact same molecule as a pharmaceutical drug. Because of this, it works the exact same way. It lowers cholesterol by blocking a key enzyme in your liver called HMG-CoA. This enzyme is basically the bouncer at the door of cholesterol production. By blocking it, red yeast rice slashes your body's ability to make new cholesterol, which brings down the LDL levels in your blood. The evidence for this is overwhelming. One of the biggest studies, a landmark trial in China with nearly 5,000 heart attack survivors, it found that a specific extract of red yeast rice called Zhu reduced the risk of another heart attack by an incredible 45% and cut overall mortality by 33% over the course of the study. Those are astounding numbers. Now, let's get real about the controversy and the warning, because it works like a statin. It can have the same side effects as a statin. That includes the potential for muscle pain and, rarely, liver issues. This is not a casual, I'll just try it supplement. Even worse, the supplement industry is a mess. The amount of monocolin K can be wildly different from one bottle to the next, and some products have been found to be contaminated with a toxin called citrinin, which can damage the kidneys. This is why my approach here was totally different. This was the one supplement I insisted on discussing with my doctor before I even thought about buying it. I showed him the research, we talked through the risks. We agreed that if I was going to try it, it had to be with extreme caution. We found a highly reputable third-party tested brand that guaranteed its monocolin K content and was certified. And we agreed to monitor my liver with follow-up blood work. This step is non-negotiable. Using red yeast rice needs medical supervision, period. The results, though, just like the studies predicted. My LDL, once in the danger zone, had plummeted straight into the optimal range. Curcumin, the inflammation firefighter, so we've handled the blood sugar and the cholesterol, but my labs showed a third, stealthier problem, a silent fire burning inside my body. That fire was inflammation, and to put it out, I turned to the golden king of anti-inflammatory compounds. My blood work showed high levels of a marker called high-sensitivity C-reactive protein, or hsCRP. My doctor explained that hsCRP is a direct measure of inflammation throughout the body. This kind of chronic, low-grade inflammation is a wrecking ball. It's like rust on your internal pipes. It damages blood vessels, fuels arterial plaque, and is a driver of almost every chronic disease out there, from heart disease to arthritis. And I wasn't just seeing it on a report. I was feeling it. That nagging achiness in my joints, that general fatigue, that feeling of just being off. This led me to what might be the most studied plant compound on the planet. Curcumin is the bright yellow stuff in the spiced turmeric that does all the work. But before you think you can fix this by just adding more turmeric to your curry, you need to know a critical detail. To get a high-al therapeutic dose, you need a concentrated extract. The science behind how curcumin works is just beautiful. It fights inflammation at the molecular level. It directly blocks a master molecule in your cells called NFKB, which you can think of as the fire alarm for inflammation. When it gets triggered, it tells your genes to start pumping out a flood of inflammatory chemicals. Curcumin just walks in and shuts that master switch off. It's so effective that in some head-to-head studies, it's been shown to work as well as prescription anti-inflammatory drugs like ibuprofen for conditions like but with far fewer side effects. Clinical studies have proven that curcumin can dramatically lower those inflammatory markers like hsCRP. This is a huge but. There's a catch with curcumin, and if you don't know this, you're just wasting your money on its own. Curcumin has terrible bioavailability, meaning your body barely absorbs it. Most of it just passes right through you without ever getting into your bloodstream to do its job. It's like trying to put out a forest fire with a leaky teacup. The fix is all in the formulation. For a long time, the standard method was to combine curcumin with piperine, the active compound in black pepper. One famous study showed piperine could boost curcumin's absorption by a jaw-dropping 2,000%. Today, there are even fancier formulas, like curcumin bound to phospholipids phytosomes, or wrapped in tiny particles, which all massively boost absorption. The bottom line is, you must get a curcumin supplement that is specifically designed for high bioavailability. The label should say something like piperine, bioperine, Mediva, BCAMI 95 or I chose a high-quality curcumin phytosome formula. I could feel the difference in a few weeks. The achiness in my joints started to fade. The brain fog, I didn't even realize I had started lifting. And in my follow-up, my hsCRP levels had nosedived from high risk all the way down to low risk. The fire was out. Garlic, the cardiovascular protector. The final piece of my health puzzle wasn't some rare, exotic root. It's something you probably have in your kitchen right now, but we're not talking about just adding more to your pasta sauce. We're talking about using high-potency, concentrated garlic as a therapeutic tool. While red yeast rice was doing the heavy lifting on my LDL cholesterol, I wanted a more complete, well-rounded defense for my entire cardiovascular system. My blood pressure was still creeping into that elevated category, and I was worried about the overall health of my arteries, stuff like stiffness and calcification that doesn't show up on a standard cholesterol test. I thought of berberine and red yeast rice as my star players, but I needed a strong supporting actor. That actor was garlic. The secret to garlic's power is its chemistry. When you crush or chop raw garlic, an enzyme called allicin converts a compound called allicin into the powerful sulfur-rich allicin. Allicin is what gives garlic its famous smell and a lot of its health benefits. The problem is, allicin is super unstable and gets destroyed by heat and even stomach acid. This is why, for therapeutic use, many studies focus on aged garlic extract. In this process, garlic is aged for up to 20 months, which transforms those harsh, unstable compounds into stable, odorless ones, most importantly, this form is way more tolerable and has been researched extensively. So, what does the science say? The effects are more modest than the others, but they're consistent and important. Multiple meta-analyses confirm that garlic supplements can lower blood pressure. One dose-response trial on people with uncontrolled hypertension found that a specific dose of aged garlic extract significantly reduced systolic blood pressure by an average of about 11 points compared to a placebo. While other studies show more modest effects, any cardiologist will tell you that a sustained reduction of even 5 to 10 points can dramatically lower your long-term risk of stroke and heart attack. Beyond blood pressure, aged garlic extract also has modest benefits for cholesterol and seems to improve overall vascular health by fighting inflammation and oxidation, which can help slow down the hardening of the arteries. For me, adding a high-quality aged garlic extract to my daily routine was about playing the long game. It was the final stabilizing touch, and the results followed. My blood pressure, which had been pushing 130, settled down firmly into the ideal range. It was the last piece of a complete metabolic and cardiovascular turnaround. So, let's go back to that moment in my doctor's office. He's swiveling in his chair, looking from the screen to me and back again. My LDL was optimal. My HbA1c was perfect. My inflammation markers were gone. My blood pressure was textbook. He finally spoke. I was literally ready to write you 3 different prescriptions today for cholesterol, blood sugar, and blood pressure. Seriously, he said. What on earth did you do? And when I walked him through all the research I did, the specific supplements, and why I chose each one, he didn't scoff. He wasn't dismissive. He was stunned, and he was curious. He actually started pulling up some of the studies I mentioned on his own computer right then and there. He saw the evidence, and he saw the proof in my lab results. He looked at the screen, then back at me, and he smiled. Keep doing whatever you're doing, he said. It's working! If this story resonates with you, if you're looking for ways to take control of your health and be an active player in your own wellness, then do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. We're building a community here dedicated to separating the science from the fads and giving you real, actionable information. This journey was never about rejecting modern medicine. Statins and other drugs are life-saving medications for millions. This was about being an active, informed partner in my own healthcare. It was about seeing the warning signs and asking, can I change the path I'm on? For me, these 4 supplements were the tools that let me do that. They were my leverage to completely overhaul my metabolic health. They might not be the right tools for everyone, and that's exactly why talking to your doctor is the most important first step. But my story, and the science that backs it up, proves that there are powerful, natural, evidence-based options that can make a profound difference. You have more control over your health than you might think. It's in your hands. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.